Right, morning. It's Monday morning. First job, kind of first job back after Christmas, I guess. This is the kitchen that I made. It's a handmade kitchen, hand-built kitchen that I made. That's how I made it. Yeah, anyway. This is fitted just before Christmas, but there was a couple of issues that we couldn't finish. Oh, I made that fit in there well, doesn't he? Radiator, that's good. Handmade ladder unit, yeah, a couple of small things like the glass wasn't ready for those doors. This door here, I didn't fit this. Guessing that's the ceiling out of level, because the old boys that have done the work here are actually pretty good. Really good actually. But anyway, yeah, this door needed to go in first, which I don't necessarily like the detail of it. Having said that, I don't mind it now. Yeah, that needed to go in first anyway, that door, so I could build around the fridge. So while I was away, they fit the door and they actually put this panel in for me, just wedged it in. So now I've just got the job of fitting this unit above that fridge. Finishing off the cornice detail, fitting those doors which are on the van. Just going around making sure everything's done right. I've got to fit a couple of shelves, get sheets down, protect up, get the tools in. That's going to take an hour just to get all the tools in, to be fair. Lovely spot though, literally just in the middle of nowhere this place is. In the middle of nowhere, it's lovely. Yeah, so I'm going to jump on it and see what I can film really. And then I've got a painter coming in, because I actually sprayed this in the workshop, but I'm not particularly happy with the finish, and it needs touching up anyway. I've sort of damaged some bits when I've installed. I've got like a weird little, I don't know if they're like watermarks from where a bit of water got on it during the sort of transportation, but basically sort of bit the bullet. I mean, actually it's quite a nice finish, to be fair, but it needs touching up. There's no texture to this spray job at all. It's so flat that I'm basically got a chap who does my painting, or used to. He's going to come in on Saturday for me, and he's just going to, you know, at my cost, he's going to go through and he's going to hand paint the whole lot, touch it all in. And it's a handmade kitchen, so it being hand painted will look nice as well. Right, and these worktops, actually made these worktops as well. Actually done them with wider staves, just to look, well, just a bit more sort of countrified, if you like. And then round, massive potato, Charlie Big Potato. And then here, there's going to be like a chimney sort of thing. Again, unfortunately, that's not going to get done this time, because I think they've got to actually do some work up in the, I'm pointing it there, you can't see it. They've actually got to do some work up in the chimney to enable that. So, annoyingly, it's not going to be finished today, but it's going to be close. And yeah, let's get going. Incidentally, if you can see the room, all the stuff everywhere. Washing, dog's bowls, yoga mat. Steph probably need that because the cupboards are absolutely ginormous, to be fair, and she's pregnant, the lady, so probably can't get very close to stuff. But just the sheer volume of stuff everywhere and whatnot, that's stuff that just doesn't bother me anymore, to be honest with you. Used to really grind my goat that, but people have got to live here. Do you know what I mean? They've been here all Christmas. They've got to live here. They've got to put their stuff everywhere. It's their house, and it would take me like, what? I'll probably just move it all. Take a photo. I've got a video now, but take a photo of it, move it all, put it all back at the end of the day. You know, by the time you can be unhappy about it all day and complain to the customer, but you just look like an arsehole. Right then, this is it. We've got just got to do the shelves now. It's been about 2-3 hours, something like that. Got these doors on. I'll show you those now. There's the glass doors on. Got the cornice on, which obviously just finishes the job off. You see how much out the ceiling is there. James has scribed it to the ceiling all the way around. We've got to stop short there because that's where we're going to have the chimney. We have a chimney going built up there and around. Then over here, I'm going to put some floating shelves. I'm going to do the same thing here. But as I say, the chimney's got to wait. So I will put these shelves on now. And it's whether or not, I don't know, because they're quite deep, the shelves. Because actually this kitchen, and I've made this kitchen, I've made it deeper. The customer wanted it a lot deeper. So 600 mil, which is sort of standard if you like, is basically there. It's actually there, sorry. And then it's about 150 mil deeper. And this side's deeper as well, a lot deeper actually. So you got more room behind the sink because of it. Just kicked a box of screws over. Brilliant. And yeah, the idea being, although it seems a little bit impossible to see now, but the idea being that any appliances and stuff on the top, you know, like I say any appliances, I've got about 1 million out, all of those, you can just push them back. You've still got a worktop to use, so you've got somewhere to cut. They do seem to be filling every ounce of space though, just with stuff, but I don't know, some people live like that. This actually gives me anxiety. Proper anxiety. Look at all the stuff out. It's just a different way of living, that's all it is. You know, it's being used, that's what it's for. I like it. Couldn't live like it, but I like it. I can actually barely work like it, but I'm not complaining. Anyway, let's crack on with these floating shelves. Right, that's it, 3:30. So we got down there, got the fridge in, done all the trims, shows you, and then we got these shelves here. So I'll just spin you around for these shelves. So these are floating shelves. They're on stainless steel bars, resin fixed into the wall. I mean, they're pretty, what we got here? No movement on those, solid. So I'll do all my shelves. Just resin fix a bar in. They look quite nice actually. Probably could maybe put a third in. And then as I said, can't do this. A shot of the room. This sort of stuff looks nice. You see it? It's that fine line between getting a photo with the dressings and stuff, all their personal belongings. I mean, that looks lovely. Especially the green and the red against this. It's that fine line between getting that finished photo with their belongings in it and getting the finished photo with just all the crap in. It's always such a struggle. Then tomorrow, going to another kitchen job which I did before Christmas to do some alterations there to a WC and hopefully fit the utility, and I'll be able to film me doing that. In fact, the lady was pretty good here. She's given me the link to a tripod which will hold my phone. So yeah, should have a better day tomorrow in terms of filming. Been a bit poor today, but it's been a good job for me good job to tick off my list for sure. All right, see you tomorrow. 10 AM Tuesday. An unbelievable amount of time spent in B&Q, but basically this is the kitchen that I did just before Christmas, and then me and another guy who you'll see tomorrow did these like a fake brick wall effect. It's like brick slips, pointed those up. It's like a German style kitchen, like modern. Looks nice mixture of new and old, I think. Looks really good. And then also created this bulkhead detail here, which has got I've put a rebate in here for an LED light, which will go in. That will go in. Might get that in this week actually. But the kitchen is waiting for worktops. So the main job today to focus on is in here. The builder that built all of this basically decided to ignore all the measurements, and this utility no longer fits as the plan. So I put that up there before Christmas to demonstrate to the customer it doesn't fit. And then obviously an upshot of that, he's actually got the utility room the wrong size as well, or maybe not that it is the wrong size, maybe not the wrong size, but this that's not too much of an issue. It's actually the Durgo where that is. The vanity unit doesn't fit in there. They've got for the toilet. So what I'm going to do today, I've brought some stuff from B&Q, some high gloss stevia doors. I've used them before for a job, and they're quite nice doors for the money. The customer wanted me to make something out of MDF and get it and paint it, but although I can make something and spray it even in the workshop, the biggest problem there is the cost of raw materials at the moment are so high that by the time I've brought the stuff, spent a day making it, a day spraying it, it's probably going to take more than a day really with the prep and stuff. So your 2 days labour plus the material, I can probably buy the materials for in there, which I've spent about 220 quid. I don't think I need to spend any more. And then we can get the offcuts of this top, drop them in there, and it will look nice. It'll have like, you know, it will have like a unity with everything else. Yeah, I've also got I think the customer's now bit the bullet and decided they're actually going to put the utility in as the plan, but it'll just mean missing the end panels. And unfortunately, it means this piece of skirting board here goes on, but it has to go up to the washing machine or tumble dryer. And then if they ever want to remove it, they've got to take the skirting board off. I understand where they're coming from. It's not for this sort of job. If you look at the quality that we've got here, you know where we are. It's a lovely job. You can imagine it with the tops on, and let's come back here and this canopy. How nice that detail will look. Now that doesn't really, to me, this sort of job here doesn't really scream cutting and wedging a bit of skirting board up to a washing machine and missing the end panels, but I think the customer just wants to get in, and I get that. Same with the vanity units and that. I proposed like a cost to them. He just said yes straight away. He just wants it in. You know, I could probably make it out of bloody cardboard and he'd be happy. And we wouldn't be happy, but he'd just accept it. And that's the unfortunate thing. I think sometimes the building work goes on for so long, the customers will just accept anything. And some people know that and they abuse it. But anyway, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to try and film me actually doing some work, but hopefully we'll get a good result by the end of the day. I've got a couple of little extra jobs to do as well, so it's a late start. By the time I even get my tools off, I don't know, but we'll just see how we get on. So you see here, these are pieces that pre-pocket hold back at the workshop. So now hopefully, well, I've got a 15mm panel unfortunately, but hopefully I can pre-drill these to the panel and then fit that to the wall. update. So basically, annoyingly, the pocket holes are pre-drilled. I didn't realise that the panel that was left on site, this was left over from the kitchen, was 15mm. Normally they're 18 nowadays, but it's a 15mm panel, so the pocket holes would have come through. It doesn't matter because we're going to cover this with another high gloss panel, probably to about that height, and then put a cut piece in on the top with a fillet down the side, which we're now going to go and cut out of some basically. If you look at this edge here, absolutely perfect. Now I know the splinter guard does a good job of that, but every now and then, well, after so many uses, your splinter guards, you can see it gets a bit worn and tatty. So the way to either keep changing your splinter guard, or what I do, is if I've got a really important cut, now I could have cut that one upside down, but just demonstrating, if I've got a really important cut, this is the top of the vanity, I want it to look spot on, I'll actually set the depth on here to say 2mm. Some track saws have got a preset 2mm built in. My old Makita one did, I think it was a Makita one I had that did. But basically, plunge it and you cut, as you saw in the video, cut the whole thing backwards by 2mm. And it does exactly the same thing. Not everyone knows this. It does exactly the same thing as a scoring blade, which I've got on the panel saw in the workshop. So it pre-cuts the opposite way, which is forcing the material back in as it cuts, which is stopping it blowing out. Like I said, not many people know that. I think I've only known it a couple of years, to be honest with you. But it just gets you out of trouble if you ever need. You can do it with a skill saw as well. If you ever just need that perfect cut, you haven't quite got a pristine splinter guard or even a very good blade. 1.5mm backwards every time, perfect. That looks nice though, doesn't it? Anyway, update. In the world's smallest room. I got a bit stressful, that did. Basically, that's done drying. These are on these click. There's the little click things to remove it. You see what I mean now about how there's not a lot of room in there. Had to reduce that to get down the side of the pipe. The system literally just touches that, and then touches that. But it's all cut. The margins look good. I'm just wedging, because I've actually just glued these on because they don't need to be removable, so I'm just wedging them. And I'll probably leave that protection on for the plumber. Cut that out for the plumber as well, so he should be quite happy with that, because it's better than him having to fit a vanity unit. I'm in the van. I've got some stair bits because on this job here, they're not in at the moment, so go around. Don't want to show too much. Right. So on this job here, I'm going to actually build him a new section of this in solid oak, because this is just, this all moves. The whole thing's gone really. So yeah, going to build a whole section of this in solid oak landing, and then I'm going to chop out these, remove these, replace these with a square spindle, oak handrails, and then I'm actually going to clad over each tread with some oak, which I've got in the van now as a sample, so I'm going to leave that overnight, and if they're okay with that, I'll probably jump on that this week basically. And then some understair pull-out storage for shoes and stuff. Morning, Wednesday morning, Wednesday the 11th, is it the 11th? It is, isn't it? Is it the 11th? Yes. Yeah, the 11th of January. This is the job that's coming up. Got the paper the wrong way around. This is the job that's coming up. Got here, got these units. This drawing, I'm going to build units to go all the way along this wall. And in this corner, I'm going to actually build new units instead of these doors, because they won't be in keeping, those doors. It won't be level or square or anything. And then inside the cupboard, oddly, I won't take you into the room. There's like half a staircase, and if you go into the other room, there's not the other bit. And same in the hallway. It doesn't go all the way down, and there's no sign of it upstairs. So we're hoping we can remove that. And then in this corner here, where this arrow is, if you look, that'll actually be up there. I'm going to put a laundry chute. We've basically got to work out today if that laundry chute can go in and be in a suitable place upstairs. We don't want that laundry chute in the middle of a corridor. We want it. There's a certain place the customer would like it, and we think just by sort of eyeing it through, we think it's there. But we've just got to double check really today, and just to see if these stairs can come out structurally. Don't want to cause any problems. And this guy here, that's the guy that did the bricks on the other job that I showed you yesterday. Oh, that's off.
Even if it's touching one end, I'm happy.
Right, so we started doing holes. Yeah, we started. And in there, there's just a couple of pipes. There's nothing untoward, no dead bodies or dead animals.
No cash, no loot.
Nothing, yeah. I found a typewriter once, not in a staircase. And then here, found out joist to joist. And I've been upstairs and I've drilled a hole through to see where it comes. Now it's just a case of marking, which I've done there really, but giving the measurement so the customer can accept that that's where that goes upstairs. It lands exactly where they want it, but it's just a case of, is that in the right place for the cupboard layout? I think it is. Back in the van now. Where are we? It's time. It's about 11:15. I don't really know. But anyway, yeah, that's taken probably a couple of hours. I'm chatting anyway, to be honest with you, but that's one of those jobs where really you've got to sort of do it. 11:15, yeah. You've got to, it's a part of a bigger job. That will actually be quite a big job, because I'm going to build all that furniture in the workshop. So that'll be hopefully a good series of videos. And on the other side of the room, which I didn't show you, there's going to be like bench seating, radiator panel cover, some shelving. Just going to freshen the room up really, with a view for those double doors opening out to a sort of future project perhaps. But yeah, the upshot there, the great thing is the laundry chute looks like it's going to work. So providing they're both happy with the size it's going to be, it's unfortunately only going to be about a foot by foot, 300mm by 300mm, because the joists are a bit closer together. But I did say to her, if you can accept that as a minimum, when I start doing the work, if I have to do a little bit of building work and alter a joist, and I think we can do it safely, then we possibly make it a little bit bigger. So yeah, now I'm going to go back to the job I was on yesterday, because the customer has said the electrician wants the utility room cupboard in to connect the fridge socket, because I think they forgot about connecting the fridge. So I think they've had to now spur off the closest socket they can do without causing any damage to the plaster. So the easiest route for that is straight out the back of the fridge cupboard, and behind where will be the tumble dryer into the utility room cupboard under the sink. So I'm just going to go bolt that to the wall, just so it's fixed and rigid, because I kind of understand if it's not fixed and rigid, then the electrician doesn't really want to put a socket in it, because obviously someone could move it. So yeah, I'm going to go do that now. Probably won't film that because it won't be that interesting. Then I think I might go back to the workshop and start thicknessing and planing some of the oak ahead for that staircase in the same job. And I've got to finish off another little odd job as well in the workshop. So we'll see how the day goes anyway. Back at the kitchen job, Wednesday afternoon. Done what I had to do. I actually did a little something else here as well actually. Let me have a little. So I actually routed out this socket into here. I had to route the cable into there because there's no other way for it. Actually show you the vanity as well while we're in here. I don't think I'd filmed that when I was here last night. But yeah, this is basically push to open door. Obviously it's not plumbed in. It's a toilet, if you're seeing that. Obviously this is just protection that comes off. But yeah, basically, what are the tradespeople, carpenters, you know, what do we hate more than anything? Well, number one, working in socks. Not cool. Not cool working in socks. Number two, odd jobs. Basically, table's broke. Can you fix it? Don't think so. Don't think I can, mate. Think it's broke. Well, I really like the table. We can give it a go. But it is a nice table, and I think I probably can fix it. But what do you do? Like, if this isn't fixed now, second time at it, if this isn't right, what am I supposed to do? I don't know. What do you do? Do you keep coming back? Is it now my table? Have I got a warranty on this? Thursday, 11 o'clock. I had to go do a little odd job, which I didn't film this morning. In the workshop now, as you can see. And I'm basically going to start prepping for that staircase. I sent the drawing over last night for them to approve, and I've got these like stair clads. I'll show you. Which I'm not really that happy with because they sort of, the rebate isn't very big. It's going to look a bit, I don't know. There's nothing I can do because it's just the nature of how it goes over the nose. And they want this painted white as well. So I was just gonna run some MDF out and spray that today, but I haven't actually got enough. I haven't been in here for a while. I thought I had some, I haven't. But I have got enough possibly to do the bottom bull nose step. So I'm just trying to work out what I'm gonna do. I haven't got a full day here anyway because I'm here late. You know what to do. And I've also got this monstrosity to finish. If you see, there was a short of that. I've had to cut it down the middle, which looks absolute dog shit, but still got to sand it and obviously get that bit flat. Yeah, so I did like a little short of that because that was my first day back, really, I suppose. First proper day coming to do anything. I don't know, I can't remember, but I did that last Friday, which was the day I decided to start filming YouTube. And on that day, I didn't realise that you have to have the camera this way and not that way. So, but I've since learned that when it's that way, you can do shorts. So I'm going to do a short of it. Yeah, and now I've just got to remember to not do that, which is irritating. Yeah, so anyway, back to this. I will spend a bit of time on this. Probably got to get a stain out as well. I could put a bit of acylic, I can't remember what it's called, acid basically, on it, and it bleaches the wood, for want of a better word. That will get rid of the stain on the oak. There's not really much else you can do other than sand it out or put the acylic acid on. So I don't know if I'm going to, I've got a bit of oak up here. I've got some oak. I've got enough to start making the landing, the bottom landing as well. So I'll probably do that. I'll probably tit around with that, then jump on this. What I've done is lacquered the back of the, that's the thing. I've lacquered the back of the nose in. I've got to glue that. Also, it's all, I mean, actually that looks all right, but I like the crown cut I do. I know it's got a joint in it, but I prefer to see the crown cut, but anyway. And then I've got to sand that back, and I'll sand them back tomorrow and spray them, although I ain't got the bits yet, but yeah, sand them back tomorrow, go get them tomorrow, sand them back, spray them, or go buy some MDF and spray that. If I buy the MDF and spray it, I've got to put this routed detail into it. So there's a lot to think about. Just giving this a quick sand. This is the veneered riser. Just basically tried to sort of de-gloss it because I think I'm going to prime these rather than cutting MDF, because the stairs are obviously, the stringers are actually wood rather than MDF. Obviously, all the stringers are actually pine. So those stringers will actually have a bit of grain in. So if I flatten the lacquer out of this, by the time I spray this, you will still see a tiny bit of grain in this. However, the only problem is, if we can have a look here, there's a tiny bit of what I would say is almost crown cutting there in that slice of veneer. If you flip her over, I mean, that's obviously crown cut. this is crown cut, that's the back. So it would suggest to me that they're using the balancing veneer of crown cut, and then the top for these stair treads, this kit that I've brought. I did look at making these myself, but by the time I machine that piece up on 13 stairs, it's not really worth it. Yeah, so basically all these I'm going to have to go through and select these now and see any that are sort of slightly more radial cut than the others. I can see this one's quite nice because it's got a bit of like the spider rays and stuff in it. That'll possibly match this a bit better. The only problem is this one's out of a different batch, so it's going to be a different colour, whereas these are all one batch. They're pretty good, like colour wise, well, because I've machined some up for before for that kitchen I made where you saw on Monday. But I'm confident I can select enough out of this to get it to be a close enough sort of grain match. And it's actually, because they're going to have a carpet runner on it, I'm now thinking, do I make, it might be a little bit more expensive, but do I make the landing out of the veneer treads, put a solid back underneath? Because it's quite a heavy veneer, it's about 6 or 7 mil veneer. And it's designed to be trod on, you know, there's no problem with that, as long as I make it structurally sound. It's probably better really for movement. And then I'm just doing the bottom step. Just doing the bottom step in one or 2 bits of wood joined together, which I'm just going to jump on now. I'm going to thickness and plane it now. Right, so I'll select all this, cut a few bits, then I'll show you thickness and planing it. I've just thickness and planed it, which I don't know if I'll include the video of that, but anyway, when I flatten the first bit, you know, I'm sure you're probably aware of how you do it. Basically, you flatten one side and then you use that as your point of reference to square the other side, and then you're really only supposed to use that to square one side. I tend to do both depending on what I'm doing. I know it's not right because I know that you've still got to recut one side anyway later on. Part of it is because the machine, you have to move the bed in order to thickness it. So while I've got it set up and I've got the fence square, I'll square both edges. And this is why I'll square both edges, because you can see the difference in the wood now. There's probably a little bit more crowning in there than I actually saw when it was in sawn state. But the difference of those 2 pieces now is so much cleaner and nicer to look at. That you're also going to see things that, you know, we didn't see before, and especially with oak. So if I sort out both edges, if I flatten both edges, that edge and that edge, so 1, 2, 3, 4, I've got 4 edges. I've got different combinations. I can then actually see what it looks like that way around, see if I think that looks better. Then the radius, it's very important when you do a radius that you mark it off square, because if you don't mark it off square, you might, with the compass, you might come too far round and you'll end up coming in. You see some people's radiuses, they've just gone a little bit too far in. But anyway, that's the radius that we can then offer onto, that'll go onto my step, how I've marked it. You can see I've rebaited this template. And the reason I do that, because I've learned over the last couple of years, these bearing cutters, see, I could just have a standard template and use the bearing cutter. There's a little bit of play in the bearings that when you're doing with end grain on oak, or anything really, really important, I've noticed that a little bit of play translates to sort of little snipe lines, and actually I've had the odd bearing sort of come off on me. Now, so what I do is I've got this kit, UJK, Axminster basically. You've got a series of guide bushes in there which go onto the 1400 router. Oh, windy. So basically, I do the first one, and then so I'll do the first one, and then I use a rebate cutter to rebate that, and then I'll then recut it again with a guide bush. And it also means that your template has been routed after being jigsawed, so it takes any like little notches and stuff that you can't quite sand out, because your jigsaw is never 100%. And then you're left with a thinner edge, a finer edge, which will be flatter. So this thinner edge here is now perfect because it's had the route around it and now a bit of sandpaper. It's now a lot smoother. So when I do all my profiles now, so I've got to do the profile. Got to do the profile 6 times. Twice for the bull nose, and then 4 times for the underside for the riser. Each one's going to be absolutely perfect. So that's why I do it like that. Right, update on the step is all the routing's done for the rounding. You can see that the riser's built, glued, going off. You'll notice I've not clamped this together yet. I've dominoed it. Just needs gluing, clamping, cutting back straight. There's not enough drying time today left really for that to happen, so I'm going to do it overnight, which means I kind of got to work a little bit backwards. So now I'm going to concentrate on the riser. Right, just thought I'd show how I do the curve thing. If I turn you around now, you'll see that they're all curved out, they're all curved out. All I do is the same bit of board that I've used for the template, I use it again for another template. I just mark exactly the thickness of the slot. I've got my mark where my curve stops and starts, and I'll just run it through the saw, and then run it back, and then I'll slide the mark over to the next one. Then run it through, run it back. Okay, cool. Right, I'm not the happiest with this actually, to be honest with you, but well, this is great. I'm actually really happy with that. Bit of loose bit out, which is hopefully I've got enough time before I go. I can wipe that. I can scrape that off. This I've got a tiny bit of like flat spotting on it, which is really irritating. Because the last one I've done, I had nothing. But it's just like the odd little, because this is going to get painted, I might be able to sort it. I mean, it looks good. It looks good going down, like to the if that was the floor, if you like. It feels pretty good. Friday's video. 3 PM started work today. Amazing. Basically, I woke up this morning. One of my kids weren't very well, so yeah, I spend the day with them, and then which is good really. It's great. Don't mind doing that. Better than working, I suppose. But then I just thought I've really got to come in and just at least get an hour or something on it. So come in, just gonna get the step done, unload load of materials, make a jig for cutting. I've got to encase the newels. I've got to basically do like a mitered fold similar to this actually. Got an offcut of a shelf from a while back. So basically it's a bit dusty. It's the end of a shelf. It's not been painted, but basically if you look, just fold the miters around a piece of wood. So we're going to actually do that around the newel post. The idea being that, I've got a better example of it. When it's all done and dusted, it will just look like a solid newel. And it's just easier than trying to take the newels off, because the newels are into the floor, into the concrete, or screed, and it's had underfloor heating, like a overlay system put on. And I couldn't really take them out before they did the overlay, because then they wouldn't have like a safe staircase for getting up and down. And then the other one's been sort of plastered in through to the kitchen that we fitted. So if I try and remove that, and the newels do obviously do a job of taking the stringer, housing the stringer and seating onto the joist or into the floor. So yeah, I'm better off just casing around it, which I've not actually done before. So that'd be fun. Or hopefully anyway, if it goes well. And they're colonial shaped. So it's going to be a bit awkward. I'm picked up some 12mm moisture resistant MDF and I'm going to mitre fold that around the corners. So it'll be a bit more rigid than doing it like a 6 or a 9, which I think that shelf was a 9. You like Festool, you'll like this. Little thing lad called Will made for me, just to keep him busy when he was working with me. Shout out Will. But basically, it's just a bit of old veneer board. You can write your measurements on it, drop your track saw on it. You finish with your sander, drop that in there. Router sits in there, drill sits in there. Yeah, quick tip. Okay, 4:30, so hour and a half. You know, mental just doing an hour and a half work today, but it's worth it in the end just to come in, because it'd been a crap week if I hadn't have at least just got this ready for next week's stairs. So I've put a lick of lacquer on it, put a bit of paint on the bottom step so you can start to see that profile now. And over here we got lift it long, so we've got the newel post here, you see, we've got to cut in on that side obviously. But yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I'll just brush that primer on in the end. So on Monday, on Monday I'll spray. I'll go get the other bits and bobs and be a prep spray day Monday. I've also just knocked up a little jig just because I've got to do all these mitre folds. So it's literally this board in here, dropped into here, basically wedged in, and then what I'll do is I've got some toggle clamps. I can set a measure and mark. I can measure and mark where each one's going to come to. Once I've done one mitre, maybe size them all roughly, all these bits of MDF, and then toggle clamp my MDF mitre folds to there. Maybe screw a stop to it, and then each mitre fold will come out the same size. Because all the newel posts I've measured them, they're 82mm. Yeah, not the best week, but first week back after Christmas, first week doing this. Shame it wasn't as busy as it normally is, but sometimes you get weeks like that, you know. And I also dropped off that table to the customer, and they seem pretty happy about it. Whether or not they are or not, they said they are, paid me, so. But you know, it is what it is with that. It's one of those jobs where you almost don't want to do it, but they need it doing, or they want it doing. I mean, the guy's pretty handy, he could probably do it himself, but probably looked at that and thought, fucking hell, I should have done that myself. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking. See you later. Okay, so just before I go, I know the video's gone on for absolutely ages, but this is that set of stairs that I've been working on the Friday. I assembled this bottom stair, and yeah, it's in that customer's house where I'm going to rebuild this landing, clad the stairs in oak, do some oak handrails as such, and these are the understairs storage. They'll just have like pull-out drawers and whatnot. Also just to hide the underfloor heating manifolds. Yeah, so I thought I'd show you that. That's something that the customer gets, so they get to see what they're paying for really before they assign me to do the work. Yeah, I'd also like to say a massive thank you to just anyone that got this far without doing too much fast forwarding. The video is ridiculously long. As I've said, it's week 1, it's my first time doing it. I just thought I'd just take a minute just to explain exactly why I'm doing it. it's sort of two reasons. I'm not stepping away from the fact that I do think some of what I do is interesting. You know, modestly speaking, I do. But it's also I've never been in this situation where after Christmas I found it hard to come back to work, and I did this year. And it's not because I haven't got good jobs, good customers, good people around me, you know, including my family. I just don't know why it is, and I just thought I need to shake things up a little bit. This can be a bit of a sounding board, really, and it's something I'm determined to do going forward, just to see where it takes me. Something else to learn. I've learned so much just in 1 week that I just know each video is going to get better. It needs to be better and shorter, more concise, really. But anyway, that's enough waffling on. Thanks to anyone that watched.